welcome back to the Lounge Life podcast. Thank you once again for joining us. This is Rob here, and I'm joined with Big Al that way. What's going
Hey,
on?
what's going on, everybody?
This is the place where cigars, conversation, and camaraderie all come together. Thanks once again for joining us. We are on episode 4. We have such a great show for you today. Something super special, something near and dear to my heart. But before we get into that, um, let's chat a little bit. What are we smoking today, Al? What do you got on you?
Well, I am going to have the Red Rocket from Room 101 and
Okay.
Sir Louis Cigars.
All right. Great pick.
So
Great pick. It's always a
this is
great
one.
pick.
This is one I've been really excited to try, and glad I was able to get it in hand.
Yeah, I was able to get some out to you, so I hope you enjoy it. Meanwhile, I am smoking the original Pussy Magnet. So this is a the OG. There's the OG. There's gold. There's silver. There's platinum, and there's a diamond. There's a ton of them. So if you haven't figured out, we are talking about Sir Louis Cigars today, and we are going to be joined by Hunter from Sir Louis Cigars. He is the owner, and he's associated with Matt Booth, so he's kind of wild, kind of crazy, and he just makes some amazing cigars. So today, um, we're going to be joined by Hunter, and you guys are in for a treat because this guy's amazing. Um, so without further ado, we're not going to take a lot of time together. Let's look at our rapper report for this episode. The rapper report is
Nice.
brought to you today by Valor Cigars. They are owned and operated out of the United States, veteran owned and operated, and they make some amazing cigar accessories, and 10% of all their product that they make, all that goes back to charities for first responders and our military personnel. So what do you got today? What is your rapper report for this episode?
Well, it looks like Florida is at it again. Um,
Uh-oh. Florida's at it
Florida,
again.
Florida Senator introduces bill banning smoking in public places.
Okay.
Um, but the beautiful thing, score one for the good guys, cigars are exempt.
Oh, okay.
Um, I would think that would really have a hard time going over with the constituency, especially in South Florida. So while it will affect, you know, cigarettes and even vaping,
Yeah.
um, cigars are not affected. So again, score one for the good guys.
Okay.
But, that was Florida Senator Joe. I'm probably going to butcher his last name, but Gruters. Um,
He deserves it if he's going to try and do that. So,
yeah, from Sarasota. So, but he floated it last August, and so when they were preparing for the election, so it's been um, it passed with 60%. Um, oh, it did not meet the required 60%.
okay.
Um, they're still following through with the plans. So
All right.
but for it maintains a an exemption for unfiltered cigars. Uh, we'll be able to still spark up on the beach and really enjoy our smokes while relaxing.
That's good.
So what's what's your news story for today?
So, uh, there was two stories I had in mind, but I'm only going to do one, just for time's sake. Um, so Half Wheel, which is the cigar, one of the big cigar websites where you get all the news and all that stuff from, they came out with their 2024 awards, and they voted that the company of the year for 2024 is none other than Arturo Fuente. Um, so so when you take a look at some of these accomplishments, they had a list of the accomplishments that Arturo Fuente went through this year. So let's take a look at some of the things that Arturo Fuente accomplished for the year 2024. They launched their Fuente and Padron Legends cigar, which is a collaboration between Arturo Fuente and Padron, and each person made a stick for the other legend, and those cigars retail for roughly $175 a piece. um I actually did a review on my other channel. um it's a fantastic cigar. Is it worth $175? I don't quite think so. um Next, they designed a $20,000 Ellie Blue humidor that was raffled off for charity. um So yeah, $20,000 humidor, fun, filled with Fuente cigars. Uh, they decided to finally bring various United Arab Emirates cigars to the U.S. for the first time for the holidays. So those are like the special opuses that everybody went crazy over the last like 2 months, which were the 2020 Opus X Dubais, which they have like the white, red, white, and green bands, and also the Opus X Dubai Exclusivo Red and Blacks, which were the duty free ones, which are only available outside the United States in duty free shops. Um, they released the new watch series with the maker Hublot. So that's another high end watchmaker. What else did they do? They expanded the Cigar Family Charitable Foundation. Um, and that is a cigar foundation that helps people around the world. Um, and that is run in conjunction with not only Arturo Fuente but also JC Newman. They both have a big hand in that. They created a new Arturo Fuente cigar club in the Dominican Republic. The new Opus X 25 release was this year as well, or was 2024 as well. And then their new Nicaragua factory is set to open any day now, and it's going to be even bigger than what they originally had planned, which it was already supposed to be double the size of the original. Um, and this one is even going to turn out to be even bigger. And
Nice.
so I hate to ramble on, but I mean, Arturo Fuente is just freaking killing it. So no wonder why they won Company of the Year for 2024. Um, so we're looking for a great 2025, and hopefully many more, because Arturo Fuente is amazing.
Most definitely, most definitely. I don't. Um, the only Fuente I've really ever had was the Hemingway short story, but
Okay.
it was a great little smoke.
So let's talk about what's in our ashtray over the last 2 weeks. And what's in our ashtray is brought to you by Bullets and Brave. Al, would you tell us a little bit about Bullets and Brave?
Bullets and Brave Cigar Co. They make some of the best stands and other accessories on the market. They are laser stamped metal stands. Um, also, um, and his personal stands have brass knucks on them. He also prints on them. So that's one he did for me. Um, he actually, we have some coming in with our logo on them. So
Oh, that's cool.
he's yes. So um, it's you could literally stand on top of these cigar stands, and it would hold my weight just fine. So it's a great product. So and you can find he has Bullets and Brave at it on Etsy.
Okay. We'll also put a link, obviously, in our bio for the show to Bullets and Brave. So what's in
Yes,
your ashtray?
it is the Herrera Ethely Miami from Drew Estates.
Okay.
Um, that is, it's an offering by Willie Herrera, uh, formerly of Titan de Bronze. Um, and let's see, it is a Ecuadorian Habano Oscuro wrapper um, with uh, Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper. I mean, excuse me, binder, and
Hmm.
Dominican and Nicaraguan fillers. But they're actually rolled. The filler tobacco is rolled in a tubular shape.
Yeah.
So it's an old Cuban technique. It's really nice. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had it in a Toro, which I think they had it was 5 3/4 by 48.
Yeah.
Uh, no, that's the Corona Extra. So um, and it was a nice, smooth smoke. I mean, just typical of their of the whole line. Um, but I still prefer the regular Habano over the Miami.
All right. Mine was actually I've been sick for probably about a week, and I only just unfortunately got back to smoking probably like 3, 4 days ago. But yesterday I was able to light up a Fuente Opus X, just an original Opus X, to celebrate my birds getting to the NFC Championship game. Last night I sparked up a celebratory cigar, one of the ones I have sitting in my humidor for special occasion. And it's fantastic. It's a Dominican puro, and it's just you could just taste aged tobacco. They never give out any of the wrapper binder filler, but it's all Dominican. So so yeah. So you know, it's always those cigars that you have with friends, have for special occasions. So you know what? I decided winning a football game was special enough for me to, light one up. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's fantastic. If you haven't had Opus yet, find some Opus and try them because you're gonna be blown away.
They do happen to carry those in my local shop. I just haven't been able to pull the trigger on it yet.
Yeah, they can be a little intimidating sometimes with their price tag, especially the more exclusive ones. Like
Right.
the society one that I just got, which was super duper exclusive, is I think retails for $90.
Gotcha.
So with that out of the way, we would like to now bring in our guest. Uh, Near and dear to my heart, one of the coolest guys I've talked to and met. He has his own company called Sir Louis Cigars, and his name is Hunter Marosits. So we're gonna bring him into the show right now.
What's up?
What's up, Hunter? Thanks for coming on and taking the time out to kind of hang out with us today and be interviewed. We do this for fun. You get paid to do this because you actually have a company. So we love that you guys just kind of take out time of your day just to kind of give us little guys a shot, just to kind of spread the news about your company.
Thanks, man. No, I'm happy to be here. I don't do a ton of podcasts really anymore. So if anybody's watching, please invite me. I can't promise I can meet your time and date requirements. I'm a busy guy. I'm always traveling. I just got back from the DR 2 days ago, and
Yeah,
but
I was
yeah,
very jealous about that. I saw you at the Fuente factory with Matt and
yeah. So it was Matt's first time. I've been to the DR. I don't know, close to 30 times, and I go very regularly because we make a lot of our own cigars. You guys are smoking both of them. Thank you for that. So you've got the OG
yeah,
put, or you've got Al's got
I'm
I've got the
the
Red
Red
Rocket.
Rocket, and and and
yes,
um, and Rob, you got
the OG
the
puss.
original Puss. Yeah, Pussy Magnet, as we
Yeah.
call it, the OG Puss. So yeah, so I love going down there. I've made a lot of wonderful friends. In fact, yeah, we were at the Puente factory. It was for Matt to go. I've been there before. That's it's. I don't think it's open anymore to like public tours. You have to be kind of a VIP or
Of course.
somebody to kind of get a tour there. And I've been in probably close to 30 factories, and they're all a little bit different. I always say cigar factories are a lot like the owners who own them. They're kind of unique, and they vary in size. They vary in how sophisticated the process is. Some cigar factories will buy tobacco and do another process with fermentation, and they all sort the tobacco
Yeah.
that they buy in different ways. So it's always interesting. So it was fun for Matt. Nobody knows, Matt is kind of my right hand man here, and he's going to be launching his own brand of cigars this year. And so part of this trip
Okay.
was, yeah. So part of I've been after him. He's been so funny stuff back up on Matt. But so I started. It'll be 5 years in April that I sold my first cigar, and Matt was originally one of my earlier customers at my brick and mortar. So I have a brick and mortar store here. And then obviously we do so much on Instagram and online as well with SirLouisCigars.com. But Matt was an early customer of mine at the brick and mortar. And then as I was kind of growing rapidly and expanding, I needed more help with packaging and shipping for all the online stuff. And so Matt had asked me, he says, hey, could I get like a part-time job here? And then it quickly turned into a full-time job. And, here we are, I don't know, 3 or 4 years later that Matt's been
Yeah.
here. So Matt's great. Love it. I've been after him since, he got more serious here to start his own cigar brand. Um, you know, and I'm happy that he's finally taken my advice and he's going to be launching his brand this year. Probably going to be April or May. Those cigars will be available. So super cool. So I brought Matt down there. We went for a full week and did the tours and brought him to all different factories I make cigars with. And then we actually don't sell Fuente cigars, but we are opening an account. It's overdue. And I actually spent a great time with Carlos Fuente III. So Carlito's
Yeah.
son
I
spent
saw that.
a nice evening and dinner and everything at the new Fuente Lounge that you were just talking about that they just
Yeah.
opened in that new hotel in Santiago. So
Yeah.
Santiago is like home away for home for me. I love it. I've made lifelong friends there, and I just from day one, from the first time I landed in Santiago, years ago, it felt kind of like home to me and felt special to me. It's a really wonderful country. Most people only know the Dominican Republic because they go to Punta Cana, and that
Yeah.
is absolutely nothing of like what that country is like.
Hmm.
And Santiago, Tamboril, where all the cigars are made, um, is the real deal. And I recommend everybody who's very serious about cigars to try to find one day in their life, get down there and tour some factories and feel the vibe and everything like that.
Yeah.
But for me, yeah, I love it, man. I absolutely love it there. I love, in my opinion, the Dominican Republic makes the best cigars in the world. They have surpassed Cuba. They have surpassed Nicaragua, in my opinion. Not, we sell plenty of Nicaraguan cigars as well. But in my opinion, the reason I say that about Dominican cigars being the best in the world is because they have so many of these boutique brands and these smaller factories that they work with really, really all different types of tobaccos from all over the world, and they make these really incredible blends that appeal to me because for me, I like when I smoke a cigar, I want something to taste unique. I want it to not taste super familiar. I want it to be have lots of layers of flavor and be. I'm a retro hail smoker. I encourage everybody else to get there if they're not one. And Dominican cigars are making the most unique stuff in the world. And I think the most unique cigars that have ever existed, ever. And I've smoked cigars for 30 years and consider myself above average at it. So I've smoked tens of thousands of different cigars, man, including Cubans, Nicaraguans. I smoke everything. But yeah, for the DR, for me, it's the best place to make cigars right now. So it's where I make the vast majority of the stuff that I produce. We do make some stuff out of Tobaccos de Costa Rica as well, but which is a phenomenal place as well. So anyway, yeah, it was good. It was good to go down there with Matt and he knows, and people see my videos, see my pictures of my travel when I'm down there, and I try to kind of educate my customers a little bit on what I've learned about the tobacco industry, and I like to try to bring that information back to everybody because I know it's not easy for people to do this. And they don't have the opportunity that I have. And I'm very fortunate that I've made such wonderful fucking friends and literally the best blenders and factories in the world.
Absolutely.
So I'm very, very blessed for that. But I like to try to educate people that are really into cigars so that they can kind of understand more of what goes into making a cigar and what makes a cigar exceptional versus average versus below average, let's say. And the good news is price doesn't really dictate any of that. I mean, there's plenty of really expensive cigars that aren't so great. There's also plenty of really expensive cigars that are phenomenal. But you can buy really, really great cigars that are not super expensive, and you can buy real trash that's inexpensive. So price is not, it's one of these things that doesn't really dictate, kind of what makes an exceptional cigar, what makes an average cigar or a poor cigar. So it's, my focus is on boutique brands, always has been since I started this business. And now I make a lot of my own brands. And I love it. That's my most favorite part of my job is coming up with these new brands. I have several new ones coming out this year for 2025. It's going to be insane. I've got literally the best brand I've ever come up with. I can't really mention what it is yet, but it'll surpass, I think, all my other brands added up. It's just such a cool concept. The first cigar that we're coming out with in this line is exceptional. And for the first time, I'm actually going to be making, I have the Pussy Magnet line that you're smoking, Rob, now the OG. Yeah. And I'm coming out with another Pussy Magnet called the Emerald Puss. And the Emerald Puss is going to be, for the first time, I'm going to take one of my lines and I'm going to kind of collaborate with another line under my same umbrella. So the new cigar line that's coming out, which is that big Rockstar brand, is going to actually have its name on the Emerald Puss. So I did something kind of cool where I'm collaborating, two of my lines together. So
that's awesome.
I'm trying to create like a storyline, and for me, cigars are, I consider cigars to be the artwork of the people, the brand owners, and the people that kind of create these things. And, we always think about, the physical cigar aspect of it, the blend and the components of it. We spend so much time, as consumers thinking about, blend and tobacco that's in it and all this stuff, which is important. But, for me, cigars are really an artistic expression of the owner of the brand. And sometimes that gets lost. Sometimes successful brands, it's not lost. That's part of the reason I think they're successful brands. If you look at the Red Rocket that Al's smoking and Room 101, when you think of Matt Booth and you think of Room 101, like it creates a feeling and a like an artistic. That brand is very unique and it has a very unique kind of feel to it. And that's part of the reason why that brand is one of the successful brands. because it has its own unique character. And I think that successful brands in the cigar industry find a way to do that that's authentic to the owner or the desire of the people making these cigars and how they want their customers to enjoy the cigar. Now, my stuff is a lot of silly stuff. It's a lot of kind of humor, but that's who I am as a human being. I'm a silly guy. I'm a guy who has a sense of humor. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's it's definitely a sense of humor. And so when I put on my artistic hat and I want to make cigars, I like to make stuff that's a little bit vulgar, a little bit rude, a little bit funny. And always an incredible cigar. I don't. One of the cool things with my brand that I think a lot of people tell me, which is by design, is I make these silly names, right? I make Red Rocket, Pussy Magnet, Cocainine, and all these different things, and they're at face value. You might look at it and say, well, this is kind of going to be a silly cigar, And then it's just the opposite because I've worked with these incredible blenders. Yeah, thank you. And Street Meat, of course, Street Meat, our monthly program that we do. So we do all these. I do all this kind of stuff because for me, just to make another gold band cigar with a crown on it and some Spanish name, for me that just doesn't do anything for me. It's just so boring, so overdone, and it just does nothing for me personally. So it's just very boring. And no offense to the people that's their brands. I mean, good for them, but for me, if I'm going to make my own stuff, I just wanted it to be fresh. I wanted it to be unique. I wanted it to be memorable. And then the consumer can decide if they like the names or the blends. That's up to you. But, for me, it's my form of artistic expression of how I like to make cigars. But we also do we also do a serious line. This is going to launch this week. This is our Sir Louis XIV series. So this line, this cigar is made by Eladio Diaz. This is our Sun King, and I'm going to light it up shortly once I'm done talking, which I have a habit of talking a lot. But so this cigar is what really sparked it, and this is the 14-inch double Lancero made at KBF that we called Sir Louis XIV. So this is a 14-inch Lancero, a 14 by 38. One wrapper, right? So we got to find this really large wrapper to be able to accomplish this. You have to find a factory that's willing to do this and capable of doing it. And then what I wanted was with this cigar, since it's a 3.5 hour smoke, was I didn't want the person smoking it to get bored of it because it's 3 hours. So what I asked Hendrik to do, the blender at KBF, an owner, I said, hey man, I want this cigar to transition like so massively that it's like literally punches you in the face from it's like A to B, like there's no like, oh, I think I'm tasting something different. Like I wanted this cigar to like flip a switch. And he did that for me by basically putting two completely different wrappers. So the front half has basically a completely different blend. And then the second half has a completely different binder and different fillers. And it gets more intense as you smoke it. So this is kind of our unicorn cigar. It's a $100 cigar. It comes in an individual coffin, that I designed. It has this kind of rest on the bottom of it. And the reason I built this coffin to hold the cigar was this thing's 14 inches long. It doesn't fit in a fucking ashtray, right? So it falls out. And the last thing you want to do is drop your $100 cigar and break the thing.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, this was kind of like my we came out with this cigar last December. This cigar was rolled last December, came out in March of 24 after resting and everything like that. So we actually have a new blend coming out that was rolled over Christmas break at the factory. And it'll be out in March or April of this year. And it has the same color scheme as our Sir Louis XIV boxes and everything. I love this French flag. And I can talk about why this is the way it is and how it looks. But this is the cigar that really sparked that line. And if you look up close, I'll try to show you the band. It's actually a gold coin replica of King Louis XIV. So he was a very famous French king. And, my business, Sir Louis Cigars, is named after my French bulldog, Louis. And I had my artist put Louis's face on the band. So we took the actual gold coin from the 1700s, had my artist take the king's face off and add my dog's profile with his Frenchy ears, sticking out of the hair. I'd be killed and probably had my head chopped off if it was the 1700s. But thankfully, there's no kings left that are going to kill me. But anyway, I did that because I had to come up with a name for this. And I kind of did a play on words like I do with a lot of my cigars, like Al smoking the Red Rocket, which is reference to Louis' dick, you know? So, and for me, I don't know if Al knows that. He probably doesn't know that. Now he doesn't want to smoke the cigar,
I
but
did. No, I did, and
okay.
it's good enough.
He went in with his eyes
I don't
open.
care what it's called.
All right. So anyway, the Sir Louis XIV line is kind of my serious line, you know, but we still have Louis' face on this coin.
Yeah.
And the Sun King, which will drop this week, is a 654 Toro made by Eladio Diaz. Of course, Eladio Diaz, if you don't know,
Can't wait for that.
yeah, he
Can't
was
wait.
the blender for 35 years at Davidoff, and he's also a great friend of mine. And he created this masterpiece for us that I was like, I wanted to make this cigar under this flag. And, you know, all of these Sir Louis XIV products that are going to be coming out this year have this kind of color scheme, which I think is just really beautiful. And
Nice.
yeah, it's really, really, really nice looking. Beautiful box. It's got the gold. You can kind of see the dog's face,
Yeah.
you know, in this coin that's on there, you know, the profile a little bit. So anyway, that's what I'm going to light up right now. So you guys fire away. That's enough of me yapping, and I'll try to shut up for a few minutes.
I appreciate it, but thank you so much. So how did you get involved with tobacco? Because, you know, not everybody, you know, goes out one day and is like, you know what, I just want to make cigars. And you know, is it more of a passion thing or was it by chance thing?
That's a good question. So my story is kind of a very unique one on how I ended up selling cigars. I've been a businessman my whole life. For 25 years I was a builder and real estate developer. That was a family business that my father had started in the 70s. Went to business school, knew I wanted to make money as a kid. As a little kid, I always kind of dreamed about, you know, having a fancy car, fancy house, fancy life, and being kind of a rich guy or whatever that means. And so I was always kind of driven. I always say I was kind of born to be a business person. I started my first business when I was 5. And, you know, so I ended up obviously working for my father for a little while, quickly took over the company, bought my father out, expanded that business, started doing a lot of crazy things, and going in a lot of different directions with distribution companies and all this stuff. So I made good money in my life. I was a millionaire by 28. I got no money from my family. My family I didn't inherit any money. My family's all dead and gone. My father did okay in his life, but you know, wasn't really. My father was a great salesman. He was an okay business person. But I learned a lot from my father. I wouldn't be the person I am today without the time I spent with him. And he was an honest businessman. I am as well. That was something that was ingrained in me at a young age. And I learned a work ethic. My father had a work ethic I don't think anybody could beat. I don't even think, even in my early 20s and 30s, I worked as hard as my father did in his life. But I'm somebody who works a lot. I don't know it any other way. And I did well for myself. I learned a lot about business. I learned a lot about investing. I didn't take unnecessary risk, and I had good reward, and I made a good product for my customers. You know, was an honest guy always in business and never took shortcuts. I don't believe shortcuts work in any business. And so anyway, by the time I'm 47 now, and Sir Louis Cigars will be 5 years. So I was about 42 years old, and I was burnt out. I burnt out 3 times in my career in my construction business. And if anybody's ever experienced burnout, it's kind of a weird thing. Yeah. And you know, my work has always been the priority in my life. I am a happily married guy with 2 beautiful kids, teenage kids, and I like to believe that I was as good of a father as I could be. I'm sure I could have been better. I'm sure I could have been worse. And same thing as far as a husband goes. But my wife knew when she married me that, you know, my career and my desire to do business and create was kind of the most important thing in my life. And you know, I tell a lot of young men that you know, if you're going to be married and you're a driven person or whatever, you better find a partner that knows how you're going to be. And thank God, I actually never thought I was going to get married. I had no desire to get married. And then I met my wife one night randomly and been with her every day since 23 years. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, so it's pretty wild stuff. But so the way that I ended up getting into the cigar business, I was kind of starting to slow down my construction real estate business and wanted to spend more time with my family, my kids, and myself and my life, and start vacationing more and start kind of smelling the roses. I kind of finally dawned on me one day that it's like, bro, you got enough money. Like, what are you doing? Which is a cool place to be.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, because I have a lot of very successful friends, and it seems when you're in it, you don't realize it, a lot of times that like, what are you doing? But I actually say that one of my friends kind of made this dawn on me. He's another super successful guy. He's a plastic surgeon, about the same age as me. And he's got a lot of real estate that he's invested in for 20 years. And he's a very wealthy guy and very driven guy, very smart guy, way smarter than me. And we were actually having a cigar one day, and he was like, we were smoking outside at my country club and, just enjoying life a little bit. And he says, so what's your number, man? When are you going to stop? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, stop what? And he's like, working. Like, when are you going to quit? Like, when you have enough money? And I was like, I don't think I've ever thought about that question. I was like, I'm just in the grind mode, right? I've been a grinder my whole life. So I was just like, this has to get done. This gets done. And then next we're going to do this and this and this. And then it's like, okay, you got more money. Just throw it in the pile with the rest. Who cares? Let's get back to work. Let's do this. And it wasn't really, I never really had this kind of number. And then I was like, then it kind of opened my eyes a little bit to being like, all right, well, now that's kind of an interesting question. You start questioning your own mortality of like, how much money do you really need? And then I was like, you know what? I think I'm good, man. So then I decided to take some time off, and I went golfing with some friends and did some kind of, bro time, golfing and traveling, this kind of bullshit. And I was like, all right, I'm going to smell the roses a little bit. And then I came back after about 3-4 months of kind of taking some time off, and I needed it physically and mentally. I was shot. And then I was like, all right, well, this is boring. Like, yeah, I can't just sit on the beach or go golf. Like I start getting like itchy. Like I'm like, I want to create. I can't waste opportunity. Right. It's like I always say, successful people have a mental illness. They're not normal people, and they're actually mentally ill, because a normal person that doesn't have mental illness would say, okay, well, this is enough. I have to stop now, and I have to take time for myself, my family, my mental health, my physical health. Like, they realize that there's other things in the world. Successful business people, to be successful, you literally have to have a mental illness where it's like an obsession, where it's like, this is all I think about, this is all I obsess about, and it's never enough, and I got to keep going, and and I have that mental illness, which is great, makes me a successful business person, but as a human being, it's not healthy, right? So I started to kind of figure out, I got to slow down, I got to get out of that business because it was just killing me, literally. And so I said, well, what am I going to do? I can't just like sit here and jerk off all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's not who I am as like a human being. I can't change like, kind of who I am, but I'm like, I can put my efforts and my energy into something else. And the way that Sir Louis Cigars happened was I wanted to build a smoking lounge in my house. And, I had this perfect space I have a finished basement. I have a very beautiful home. And I asked my wife, I says, hey, I want to build a smoking room over in this area down in the basement. Nobody uses the finished basement. I got this beautiful fucking place. Nobody uses it. Arcade games and bars and everything, TVs. It's like nobody goes down there. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I'm going to use it and make a smoking room in this one area. And my wife's like, no, I don't want to. I really don't want that. My wife's not that person. So I was really shocked. I was like, really? Like, I really can't do that? And she's like, yeah, no, I don't want to smell the smoke. And I don't want the kids seeing you smoking cigars all the time and everything. That's all right. Fair enough. I said, okay, I'm not going to fight you on it because you don't fight me on anything. So this is obviously important to you. I'm not going to grind you on it. So then that kind of went away. And then I own my office building here and where I am. And at the time, this space downstairs was sitting empty because I had a friend of mine who got divorced and he couldn't afford the rent and he left. It was no big deal. I didn't need the money. So it just kind of sat empty. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to fucking turn the downstairs of my office building into my own personal cigar lounge. We can play poker with my buddies. We can drink some booze and watch TV and, shoot the shit. And so that's how this got created. I gut renovated this whole space and made it really nice, and it became my own personal kind of place to hang out, have a cigar with friends. And then very quickly, you know, we have this kind of poker game that we've been doing for years with a group of my friends. One of my buddies was like, hey, man, instead of all of us buying cigars and bringing them here, he's like, why don't you just get a license? You're looking for something to do and sell cigars. And I was like, you know what? That's a fucking great idea. I said, I never thought about it. And so I got the licenses I needed with the state and the town and everything. And then suddenly Sir Louis Cigars was born. And I didn't know anything about it. I didn't have any friends in the industry. I knew nobody, literally zero people. Didn't really have a local brick and mortar that I frequented. I bought most of my cigars online. I was pretty much a Davidoff Padron guy for the most part. And that was kind of it. So then I started looking. I was like, well, how do I find cigars to sell? So then I, literally Google searched, cigar wholesalers, found a few companies that wholesaled cigars to retailers, went down their list, bought some shit that I was familiar with, bought some shit I wasn't familiar with. And then I would kind of sell it to my friends, smoke it myself. And then one of my buddies was like, hey man, you should get on social media. He's like, because I never had Facebook or Instagram, 5 years ago. It was a big waste of time. It was not something that fit into my lifestyle. So I said, really? I said, Facebook's too clunky. I hate it. I still do. And he said, well, check out Instagram. So I got on Instagram. I said, oh, this is easy to use. You take a fucking picture and you write something, and boom, there you go. You've made content. So I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. And then he's like, yeah, there's a whole group of people on there jerking off over cigars. And, maybe you could find customers. Maybe you could find cool brands. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. So I dove in pretty deep. And this was 2019 heading into 2020, right when COVID was starting to pop. And so I got on Instagram, started finding some of these boutique brands that really kind of tickled me. And I would write to the owners, just DM them, be like, hey, man, how do I get your fucking cigars?
Yeah.
And they'd send me samples. I'd smoke them. If I liked them, I'd buy them, and then I'd push them on you guys. And basically, that's how Sir Louis Cigars started on Instagram. And then locally, people found out, hey, there's a little speakeasy, that you can go down, and the guy's got these cool fucking cigars. So locally, it started to kind of just grow word of mouth, right? And it was like you ring a doorbell thing. It's a buzzer to come in. It was a whole thing. And I didn't want a store because I didn't want to be tied to store hours. I had no interest in running a store. I still really don't, right? And the online thing was interesting to me because I was like, as a business person, I was like, now this is interesting because I'm like, you're telling me I can sell cigars to the entire world? Previously in my construction and real estate business, I only had so far I could travel and do my business, right? And with this business, I was literally able to sell cigars all over the world. And that kind of, from a business standpoint, I was like, this is a cool idea. This is a business that has infinite scalability. I literally can find, millions of customers to buy my cigars. So I was like, this seems like a fun way to spend my time. As a business person, it tickles my brain and gives me something to do. Selling cigars, obviously, is a fun, cool thing to do. I like cigars, so this worked. So that was kind of the beginning of Sir Louis Cigars. We were selling cigars through DMs on Instagram, and people would Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal me. Literally didn't even have a credit card machine. And, I went from the first month selling $5,000 worth of cigars. The next month was $20,000 worth of sales. And I was like, wow, this thing could do $250,000. And then it was 50,000, then it's 100,000, So we sell millions of dollars worth of cigars now. And it's kind of crazy on how fast it went from I use the analogy always of a snowball at the top of Mount Everest, rolling down. And it really grew very fast. We're now kind of at a plateau with growth, with the business. I've kind of done what I can do, and there's a lot of reasons why that is that way. So my challenge now as a business person, the startup excitement of creating a brand and creating this thing is fun. And now my job is to okay, how can we kind of grow beyond this? And I guess that's part of the reason I'm sitting here talking to you guys. It's I have to get the word out to more people. Clearly, we have some of the most loyal customers, I think, in the cigar industry. We make great cigars, obviously, that people love. My prices are very fair. And, so for me, my next chapter in Sir Louis Cigars is how do we grow this thing, to the next level and get this growth. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And it's fun. Like I said, it's not only just it's good that you don't sell shitty cigars. Like I said,
Yeah,
your cigars are fantastic. And I think just your personality and your energy, your high energy kind of shines through,
thanks,
and
man.
and backing the brand kind of really is what drew me to you guys. And the same thing with Matt Booth is you
Yeah,
have just like you just have this thing about you where it's like you're a likable guy and you sell amazing cigars. Yeah, see, thumbs up. But it always does that to me. But like I said, it's fantastic just to see you all the time on Instagram, and
I
everything that
love
you
it.
come out with has been fantastic. I
Thank you.
mean, it's boutique right now. I think is I tell people all the time, if you're not smoking boutique brands, you need to start smoking boutique brands, because boutique is where it's at right now. Because you could be a Padron, you could be a Fuente, and you could pump out a million cigars, and you know, you don't have to have a million cigars to be a good cigar company.
Yeah,
Boutique brands have the most amount of flexibility because they can get to the blenders that can't turn out a million cigars, and they can get the leaf that you can't make a million cigars with. If you have
100%.
if you have a few thousand cigars to go around, um it's just the more interesting projects and the more interesting blends just lends itself to this small amount of leaf that's available.
100%. Yeah, that's
so
why I love boutique.
so for you, you're unlike some of these bigger guys. You don't usually carry one blender. So
Mm.
you've already talking about KBF, which is Henrik Kellner.
Hmm.
You've already talking about Eladio Diaz. What are some of the other blenders that you use to create your cigars with?
Sure. So Weber Ventura, so the Ventura family. Weber owns, the big factory. His father, William Ventura, started in Tamboril in a smaller factory which still exists, and his father is still there making kind of stuff for Caldwell and his own brand. Weber is a great friend of mine. He blended the Red Rocket that Al's smoking. Took us three iterations on blending, which sounds like not a lot, but you're dealing with a blender who knows what he's doing, and B, like I kind of know a little bit about cigar blending. So like,
Hmm.
I went to him and said, look, bro, this is kind of what I want, and like make me a couple samples, and then like let's go from there. And what I did, kind of how I instructed him with the Red Rocket blend was, I said, here's what I want, man. I said, I want, so the American consumer has a certain demographic of smokers and what we kind of like as American consumers.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to make. I make plenty of cigars that are really nichey in flavor and blend, but for that cigar, because it was 20,000 cigars that we had to sell, I wanted it to appeal to the most amount of consumers in the U.S. So
Yeah.
what I told them was, I obviously needs to be a Maduro. San Andreas at the time, and probably still is, although it's waning. San Andreas was the hottest wrapper at the time, meaning everybody was
Yeah.
coming out with these beautiful San Andreas wrap sticks. And I said, what I want is I want lots of flavor. I want lots of layers of flavor in the blend. I want a little bit of spice, but not too much to scare away, guys that don't like spice. And I said, I want sweetness. I want sweetness. I want layers of flavor with some spice to keep people interested, and I want people to come back and want more. So the first blend he made was too spicy. And I said, I smoked it, I retroed it, and I was just like, wow. I was like, for me, I said,
Yeah.
I can't. I said, look, this is a great cigar. Make it for somebody else. But I can't, like, I don't love super spicy cigars personally.
No,
So, like,
me
I
either.
have to love the cigar if I'm going to sell
Yeah.
20,000 of them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we got to dial the spice down, right? And then he made me another one that was a dark Habano wrapper, he's like, I have a blend. He's like, I was like, this doesn't look like San Andreas, bro. He's like, it's not. And I'm like, and I smoked it, and it was still too strong. And I was like, and I really want San Andreas because at the time that was
Yeah.
the hottest thing, that everybody was fucking with. So he's like, all right, all right, all right. So then he came out with this blend. The final blend was on the third iteration, and I smoked it immediately, and I was just like, dude, this is absolutely fucking perfect. It's everything I said. You dialed it in. I don't know how you did it, but you fucking did it. I love it. Done, done, done. Like no fucking nothing. Like I was like, it's done. and everybody loves that cigar. I've never had one person tell me that they think it's a bad blend. You know, blends are a subjective thing, right? So, you know, just because I might love a blend doesn't mean you guys are going to love it or whatever. But, you know, there's enough characteristics on what most people find enjoyable. And, you know, so that cigar, I think, appeals to about 85% of the cigar community from a blend standpoint. So Weber's a great friend of mine. That blending process and the creation of that Red Rocket with Room 101 kind of solidified a great friendship that him and I have. And I do a lot of stuff with him. He did the Platinum Pussy. The Pussy Magnet Platinum came from his factory, which is an incredible Habano. I'm trying to think. He's done the Cocainine Perfecto, which is another San Andreas Perfecto, which is a glorious cigar. I don't know if we have them in stock.
That's the one I almost smoked today.
It's such a wonderful blend.
It's a chocolate dream.
Exactly. So he crushes it. He's a great friend of mine. We make a lot of cigars with him. Chico Rivas is another blender. Some people are familiar with, some people are not. But Chico, he does. So Weber does a lot of stuff for Caldwell. Does a lot of stuff for Room 101. So like, you know, Farce is made in Weber's factory. You know, the Maduro, the Connecticut, the Habano. Obviously, the Nicaragua is made in Nicaragua. And then a lot of Caldwell. Caldwell's his largest customer, and I would say Room 101. He also makes the Doomsayers, and I think he makes some of the Paybacks, but don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% on the Paybacks. But so Weber does a lot of Caldwell Room 101 stuff, and he does some stuff also. He does that red. No, he doesn't do the Red Anchor. That's what's his name? Kellner. And then Chico Rivas makes a lot of cigars for Caldwell as well. So Chico's a guy in Tamboril, great guy. Chico's a master. He's a very talented guy. He understands tobacco at a very high level. He's a very really good dude. Makes more spicy cigars. So a lot of if you get spicy cigars from my shop, like if you look at the Golden Puss, so the Golden Pussy Magnet comes from Chico Rivas. Whenever I have to make a cigar or want a cigar that's spicy, Chico is my man that I usually will go to for that. He knows how to blend with Ligero and things and create a cigar that's got a little kick as well. And all of Chico's stuff is kind of on the spicier side, even his Connecticut's. So he's my man for when I want to do that. You mentioned KBF, Kellner Boutique Factory. Hendricks, he's the masterpiece guy. He's the guy that makes all those masterpieces for me and a lot of people. And then Eladio Diaz, obviously Diaz Cabrera Factory. So Eladio, funny enough, I don't know if you knew this, but Eladio Diaz and Hendrik Kellner shared a desk, I want to say for 10 or 12 years at Davidoff. So they literally shared the same desk. So, you know, for me to have these two guys making cigars for me is just it's bizarro land, you know. And, you know, and obviously this new Sun King Eladio made for me is just fucking fabulous with so many layers of flavor. And
I can't wait. I can't wait for it to come out.
Oh man, I can't wait to sell it to you guys. I can't wait for you guys to buy it and smoke it. Yeah,
it's funny because I look forward to seeing you on social media all the time. It's like one of the highlights of my weeks. Just kind of like,
thank you, bro.
Just
That's super nice.
What is my crack dealer going to push on me today? So
yeah, man. I love it. I love doing it for you guys. I really do. Like I always say, like, you know, one of the funny things, and I always like to say this, and I don't mean to have it come across as like, you know, arrogant or something weird, but, you know, I've never taken a paycheck from Sir Louis Cigars. I don't take any money from this business, and I never will. So when I started Sir Louis Cigars, I started it with about $5,000 of my own money. And Sir Louis Cigars, I have reinvested every single dollar that it's made into the company. So that original $5,000 that I invested, I've never put a dollar of my own money into it since.
Wow.
And I never will. The company will grow and succeed on its own, or it'll wither or die on its own, right? It's like I'm not here to pump life support into a business. So this business is successful because it works, and it's successful by its own design and by guys like you buying my cigars and believing what we do. And, you know, I don't need the money from this business, thank God. And I think it's an advantage that I have, obviously, compared to most retailers and most brand owners, although most brand owners are rich. Let me be honest with you. Most of them come at it because they don't need the money. But But retailers, not so much. Most retailers do it as a way to put food on the table, how to pay their mortgage, how to do what they got to do. And I always say it's the cigar business is not a good business to make money in. I mean, take it from a guy who's owned several businesses. I'll tell you, it's not a great place to make money. In fact, I think you got really high odds that you're going to fail. And it doesn't matter if it's retail, brand, whatever, factory owned, whatever fucking however you want to be part of the cigar industry, which seems kind of fun and glamorous to a lot of people. It is a very difficult business to make money in. So I would never choose it for anybody to try to make a living at. Very few people do well to make significant money in the cigar business, and I think most people struggle to make a living out of it, to be honest. So it's obviously heavily regulated. It's a business like any other, as far as overhead and things like this. So it's not an easy business to make money in. But anyway, Sir Louis Cigars is its own thing. I reinvest all the money back into it. And, maybe one day if I get bored of cigars and I sell the business and I make, $5 or $10 million, great. Sure. Thank you. But like, I don't need it. And it's not part of it. I let the business, grow, from its own kind of success. And I think that's I enjoy it because it's not my focus, it's not to enrich me. And I think sometimes that can make a business, better run, man. Like, I look at corporate America and I look at big business and I look at all these publicly traded, mega corporations that, make billions of dollars a month in profits. And yet they don't take care of their people. They don't take care of their customers. They don't take care of the environment. They don't contribute to the government. Like, they don't contribute to anything but their shareholders. And look, I'm a capitalist and I love making money and I love capitalism. I have it no other way. But I will tell you that these mega corporations are not doing any good by anybody but their own shareholders. And the rich people just don't need that much money, man. I'm sorry. Like, I'm like small. I'm like small rich. Like, I have enough money that I have nice things and I have a good life. But like, you don't need more money than I have. Like, I don't need more. Like, for what? Like, for what? To buy more cars, more houses, and more fancy things. Who gives a shit?
More trips to Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean, look, I got, I love travel and it's like you don't need more. And it kind of gets grotesque. And I think most Americans kind of realize this. And it kind of irritates me. So like, from like a business standpoint, I can't tell you how refreshing it is for me to run a fucking business that's not obsessed with like squeezing every penny out of every transaction. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my priority is like you guys getting great cigars for great prices. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And it's amazing because like, your sticks are fantastic, and I think the most I've ever paid on a Sir Louis cigar is like $12 to $14 at most.
And that's very few are that expensive. Yeah,
exactly.
Like the one you're smoking is $7. The Pussy Magnet is $7 cigar.
Yeah,
it's a great cigar.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's treating me extremely well. Like I said, I've been like smoking this thing. The burn line is amazing. There's no construction, and I think it's awesome the fact that you're able to pull from these like legends of blending where you're not like stuck with like where some of these businesses, they like, my blender is X and that's it, period. And you have like 3, 4, 5 different blenders that you use for some of your cigars.
And I have some smaller factories I pull stuff from. So Edgar Julian Sued's another small younger guy who's got a great factory, was a great friend of mine, especially in the early days. And he makes some really, really great stuff. If you've had our short bus, which is a play on his school bus cigar that he came out with. If you know me long enough, we had the Piggy Smalls that he made, which were these great little cigars, these San Andreas flavor bombs that were all affordable stuff. They're all sub $10. These are all like $8, $9 sticks. And then Juan Lenin's another guy in Tamboril, young guy, young blender, young guy. He's the one who made the Pussy Magnet OG that you're smoking. Trying to think of some other guys. Junior Torres, another guy, made our Pink Pencil. He made some Uncle Louis cigars that I did collaboration with Judgy Bobby. And he's another Davidoff trained guy, as is Weber. So Weber's also another Davidoff guy. So a lot of these guys, got their their kind of education, so to speak, from Davidoff, and so yeah, it's pretty incredible stuff, to have all these guys and
Yeah.
and I'm probably forgetting it. Oh, Maurice, my good friend Maurice at Inter Cigar makes the cocaine Maduro. He's made the cocaine Habano that we did limited. He's made some barber pulls. Like Maurice is another guy. Like I said, I'm forgetting guys, and I apologize. Hopefully they won't see this video, but I've worked with 19 different factories, which is insane. Now, the vast majority of the ones I use the most regularly are the ones that kind of come to mind. But there are some guys that, with Street Meat, which is my monthly program, Street Meat, I need 5 new cigars every month, and we don't repeat them. And those are blind cigars. So what Street Meat is, if people aren't familiar with it, from the minute I started Sir Louis Cigars and I started getting, customers that loved what I did, they were like, hey man, make a monthly cigar box or a monthly, cigar of the month program. And I'm like, yeah, but why? There's already so many guys doing it and doing a good job. Like, I didn't want to just take like 5 cigars you can buy anywhere, stick them in a box, make it cheaper, and sell it to people. Like, to me, that's just there's nothing unique about it. It doesn't excite me. So I wasn't going to do it. Even though people ask me constantly, bro, when are you going to come out with Cigar of the Month program? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? And I was like, well, when it feels right and it's something unique. So then one day, we're going on 2 full years now of Street Meat. In April will be 2 full years. We'll be starting our 3rd year of Street Meat. So I had this idea, and Robert Caldwell, when he started Lost and Found, he came up with this idea of, being in the factories like I am, and he is, making blends and visiting these factories and doing the job of making cigars. A lot of times you just sit around, smoke cigars and drink coffee. Like, smoking cigars takes time. So it's like, hey man, try this blend. It's not like I take 2 puffs and I'm like, yeah, it's good. Like, you got to sit and smoke this fucking thing for an hour or 2, drink some coffee, shoot the shit. And then you're like, do you like it? What don't you like? Making cigars is a very slow process. So, meanwhile, when you're in the factory, it's like, what are we going to do? Play cards? Like, we got to do something. So Robert started looking for basically what we call leftover cigars in the aging rooms, and he launched what's known as Lost and Found. And what that is, it's not reject cigars. These are basically cigars that are overruns. Now, what does that mean? So every time a brand owner makes a cigar, like let's say you make the Red Rocket that Al's smoking, and Weebird has to make 20,000 of those, he doesn't make 20,000 cigars. He makes over 20,000 because there are going to be some cigars that don't meet the criteria for one reason or the other, and that's a rejected cigar that gets thrown in the trash. So I need a new good cigar to take its place, right? So let's say you're going to make 20,000. You need 20,000 perfect cigars. You might make 22,000 in production, and then you have 2,000 spares, for lack of a better word, to fill in for the reject cigars. Reject cigars can be rejected for things like underfilled, overfilled. Maybe it's got an imperfection on the wrapper that doesn't look pleasant to the eye. Maybe it's cracked. Maybe, whatever. There's a lot of reasons why they reject cigars in factories. And so you have to have good cigars that infill that. Okay, so now we got my 20,000 Red Rockets. Awesome. But there might be 1,000 or 500 Red Rockets that are perfectly good. Those just go in an aging room, and they usually get sold to the local market, and they kind of just sit and rot. I mean, I've bought cigars 17 years old that have been in aging rooms, right? So it's fucking insane, right? But nobody's going to throw them out because they're perfectly good cigars, and you can't really do anything else with them. So they kind of just sit there, right? So Robert started buying thousands of these from all these factories and created Lost and Found, which is a great name, right? So when I kind of had a light bulb moment where I was like, people want a monthly cigar program, and I'm running into these overruns of incredible cigars because I'm smoking them in the factories, right? So they'd be like, hey man, Hunter, you want to take a couple cigars home? Take this, take that. Awesome. Just stuff to smoke, and maybe it sparks something in your brain of like, hey, I want to create a blend like this, that, and the other thing. So then I started getting all these cigars given to me, and we're smoking them. And then I'm like, hey man, this is a great cigar. How many of these you got? Oh, I got like 150. I got 200. I got 500. I got 1,000. Yeah. And then I started saying, all right, well, like, how much would you sell that to me for? And I'd be like, all right, I'll sell it to you for this. I'll sell it to you for that. And then it was like, all right. And then the idea became of creating Street Meat. So Street Meat is a collection of 5 different cigars from different factories. I don't disclose where it's from. I don't disclose blend characteristics. And the reason we do that is, well, these are somebody's cigars in the marketplace, right?
Yeah.
It could be brand XYZ. It could be, whatever. And I don't want that to be something people could figure out, because it's not fair to that brand owner, because I sell Street Meat for $39 a 5-pack, which is, under $8. It's like $7.90 or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
So, we've had cigars in Street Meat. This is a no bullshit, honest to God, strike me dead. We've had cigars that retail for $75 that I've had in Street Meat for $7.90. And the vast majority, every single one of them retails for more than $8, because how many cigars are out there retailing for that? And what I do is I go in now, these last couple of years doing Street Meat, I go into all these factories and I say, what do you got? I'm looking for this, that, and the other thing. Give me unique shit. Give me really special stuff. What do you got? I smoke them. If I like it, it's unique and it's cool, I'll buy it. And so we've put out over 100 different cigars that we've rescued from aging rooms into the marketplace, and some incredible cigars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not because I say they are, they just are. Like, I didn't blend these fucking things, but they are basically what I like to call almost like farm roll. They're like these naked cigars, but I couldn't sell a naked cigar because to me there's nothing less appealing than a cigar without a fucking band on it. So I created the Street Meat name, and we put a Street Meat band on it. Now they're black and gold. They used to be black and white paper, cheap as possible. And because the idea behind Street Meat was I wanted to have a price point that everybody could afford it. Everybody could smoke incredible cigars for a cheap price, because we're not paying a brand owner. We're not buying fancy packaging. We're getting all that expense out of the way. And and we're just focusing on the cigar and the blend, right? And the reason I call it Street Meat is, if you go to like a city somewhere in the world, and let's say you're in Bangkok or something, and you're gonna eat some food off the street that somebody's making, you don't know what the fuck you're eating, but you're just like, trust me, bro, eat it. And 9 times out of 10, it's a delicious thing, but you don't want to know it's like cat intestine or something. You just want to eat it. So that's one word of what Street Meat is, and then the other kind of use of the word Street Meat are hookers that walk the streets. That's another nickname for that. And I like to have fun with sexual stuff and whatever. So for me, Street Meat was this name that whatever, I don't know how I came up with it, but it was like the perfect way to call something that's kind of offensive, from the street hooker style, and then street meat that we eat but we don't know what we're eating. That's kind of what you're doing when you smoke Street Meat cigars. And the other thing I always want is we all prejudge what we smoke, right? Because we want to know what's the wrapper, what's the binder, where is it made, all this bullshit. And then people are like, well, I don't really like Dominican cigars. I don't like Nicaraguan cigars. I don't like Connecticut's. I don't really like Habanos. How the fuck do you know? And so it's normal for us to prejudge cigars, because in our own mind, we believe we have a certain thing that we like. And if it doesn't fit in that window, we don't buy it and we don't smoke it. And a lot of times I think that consumers are missing out on a lot of things. They're missing out on some really great cigars that they won't experience because they're tunnel visioning it. They're judging this book by the cover. I won't like that, so I'm not going to try it. So that's something I don't believe in. I think people should expand their palates and try everything. So this is another way for me to kind of sneak that Street Meat in, where it's like, bro, just eat it, and then decide if you like it or not, And so that it has a lot of advantages, Street Meat, for the consumer. A, you're getting these great cigars for a cheap price, and B, you're smoking stuff that you don't know what it is, and you're just expanding your palate by doing it, right? Like, whether you want to or not, you're tasting stuff that you've probably never tasted before. And that's kind of me doing my job for the cigar industry as a whole, because in my opinion, as somebody who sells cigars, what I want, what I fear most is that people one day stop smoking cigars because they're like, I don't like cigars anymore, or it's not fun, or it's not enjoyable, or it's too expensive, or whatever rejection or that we have on why we would I don't want to lose one cigar smoker to the industry, because it's so hard to get new ones. And to me, that's the fear of the cigar industry, is like, losing people. And I think some people get bored of cigars because they don't experiment, they don't try stuff. And so for me, for street meat, I hope what I'm doing is expanding people's palates, keeping people excited about trying new shit. Doesn't cost a lot of money, which is also good because I don't know where everyone else has been the last few years, but everything else has gotten so fucking expensive.
Of course.
So,
For sure.
Yeah.
so street meat for me is kind of this thing that I do. It's not a big profit maker for me because that price point, buying the cigars and importing them and everything else, and paying tax on them, there's not a lot of money to be made in street meat, but it's kind of my way of telling people, hey man, here's your cigar of the month program you guys all wanted, and it's different and it's cooler and it's better than everybody else's. It doesn't cost a lot of money, and also it's I'm helping the factories as well because I'm taking cigars that it's rotting on their shelves, that aren't making money, and I'm like buying it from them so then they can use that money to do something else with it. So buy more tobacco or something, So it's kind of a win-win for everybody, but kind of Sir Louis Cigars. Like I always say I hate street meat. Like the more I think about it, like street meat was the worst thing I ever did because I'm putting out these incredible cigars for a cheap price and I'm spoiling my customers and I'm not making a lot of money. And then I'm cannibalizing my own sales, right? So like from a business standpoint, like street meat's a terrible idea, bro. But like, we're going to keep doing it. I was going to kill it this year. But I'm going to keep doing it because everybody was like, you can't kill it. You can't kill it. So I'm like, all right, I'll fucking keep doing it. But at some point, it's got to go away because it gets harder and harder to find incredible cigars. At some point, I'm going to run out, right? And secondly, like, it's not doing my business any service. You know what I mean? So it's kind of one of these things. Get it while you can. And it always sells out, and it's a cool thing. And I hope it's a way for me, for you guys that buy street meat, share those cigars because they're inexpensive, but they're delicious with your friends, and maybe they can become Sir Louis customers, and maybe on the back end, maybe we make some money off of it or some way. I don't know. But I don't know, man. I just believe if you do good things in this world, I've always been somebody that, I'm not perfect by any means, but I always believe that I have incredible good luck, and I've always had really good luck in my life. And I truly believe
he's got
that
street meat right there, the Christmas meat.
Yeah. Exactly. I feel that in life, if you put good juju out there and you put good vibes out there, like karma gives it back to you. So I believe in that wholeheartedly. And I think in the reverse, if you're an asshole and you do bad things to people, bad things are going to happen to you. Yeah. So I believe in that. I've had enough experience in my life. So I believe even if it doesn't make money on paper, maybe it's giving me better luck in other ways. So we'll see, man.
Yeah, with street meat, like I said, one of the cool things that I love about street meat, I like to consider myself a little bit of a cigar nerd.
Yeah.
And I love one of my favorite things to do is to discover new brands and discover new blends. And what street meat does for me is it gets me smoking those different blenders, those different cigars, where if I went into a shop and I saw it on the shelf, I'd be like, I've never tried that before. I don't want to invest the, $15-$20 it's going to cost me to, buy these new cigars that I've never heard of before. And besides the fact that when you put street meat out there, you make it this fun, amazing thing where you don't, you go online, you bullshit with your customers for, 30, 45 minutes and you're just like, hey, this is what we're smoking. These are the notes I get off of it instead of this is the wrapper binder filler.
Yes.
That and like I said, I enjoy every month of street meat. I'm one of those guys where you're like, I wasn't, sold on the monthly cigar club, but I love the fact that you're smoking a blind cigar, like you were saying, and tasting these notes and tasting these things where I might have passed it up in the store.
Dude, 100%. Thank you, man. I mean, that's the whole idea behind it, and I have people that just go insane over it. They're obsessed with it. We always have some overages. So what usually happens is, I'll have a certain bottleneck cigar every month, that we, that kind of dictates how many packs we can make. And then there might be 40 cigars left of another one that's in the pack and 30 here, 20 there, 10 there. Like some months, like there might only be 1 or 2 cigars that we have overages of. And for a lot of people that miss out or have never tried street meat, if you go to the website and you just put street meat in, you can buy some singles from previous months. And they're cheap, they're a little bit more money than $7.90, Like I try to put like a realistic price on them then, like of what I would sell it for in a store, but they're still really cheap. You know, they're still $8,
Yeah.
$9, $10, $11. Maybe I have 11. I don't even know. Maybe they're like 10 and under. I don't know. But
Yeah.
but it's a cool thing. And then if you fall in love with one that you're like, wow, damn, I wish I had more of those. I always tell people like, you know, keep an eye on it or DM Matt and say, hey man, do you have any of these leftovers? Most of the leftovers go in that way. People will fall in love with stuff and then they'll be like, hey man, you got 5 or 10 more of these? And or a bundle of them, and I'm like, yeah, sure, they're yours. Like, how's $8? You know, and they're like, sure, I'll take them all, no problem. You know, so it's kind of it's a cool thing, and I enjoy it. And you made a good point that I've started to push on, and I want to talk about it because this is something interesting from the cigar industry standpoint. So we are all sold cigars as consumers with binder, wrapper, filler, right?
Yeah.
So when you get a cigar from brand XYZ, they're going to tell you the wrapper's this, the binder's this, the filler's this. And then that is supposed to mean something to the end user, to the consumer.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Now here's some interesting inside baseball in the cigar industry. So I've actually had this conversation with several factory owners, blenders, master people that, you know, make cigars for a living. And they say, Hunter, 60%, I had one guy tell me this number. I don't know if he pulled it out of his ass or if it's real, but he said 60% of the information that's posted with cigar blends is actually completely untrue. And it is actually the marketing companies and a lot of these brands, especially when you get with the larger brands, that's marketing deciding what's popular. Okay, San Andreas is popular. That fucker's got a San Andreas wrapper. You know, broadleaf's popular and filler because people tell them it's got broadleaf. Who the fuck's going to tell them it doesn't? Unless you're a cigar blender, you're not going to have a clue as a consumer. So I was like, wow. I said, that's really kind of, you know, the cigar industry has a long history of lying to consumers, right? Which is something that really irritates me. And it's something that I kind of laugh at. Like I joke about it, like all these stories about aged tobacco and, you know, and there's certain brands that are really bad at this. And, you know, for me, it's kind of like, how many people actually buy this bullshit story, you know? And I'm not going to mention it because, man, I could sit here all day and list all the bullshit that I know of. And it's just marketing bullshit. And at the end of the day, I truly believe listing blend information is a disservice to the consumer because, again, somebody might have had a cigar one day that was categorized as Connecticut broadleaf, and they don't like Connecticut broadleaf because they don't like that cigar, so they'll never buy another cigar with Connecticut broadleaf. And I think what it does is I know it's lying to the customer more often than not. And so that information for me is just, that's horrible. Why would you do that? And then secondly, it creates a false impression of certain blends when people are actually telling the truth. You don't know. So what I believe is that should all be scrapped. I think it's all bullshit. And here's the other reason why it's bullshit. I know from the experience I have, the information and education I've obtained from being in cigar factories, when you blend a cigar, it's not baking a cake. So what do I mean by that? Let's take a cigar. Let's make it a simple cigar with 4 tobaccos. Let's say it has a San Andreas wrapper, Sumatra binder, and it's got a filler from Esteli and a Connecticut broadleaf filler. Okay, we got 4 tobaccos. Awesome.
Yeah.
That cigar with those 4 ingredients in those same positions, I could make you not me personally, but a blender could make you probably 30 or 40 different tasting cigars that aren't like a little bit different. I'm talking massively different just by the quantities in the filler, how it's placed in the filler. So what tobacco touches what, where it's positioned in the front of the cigar, back of the cigar, which way the leaves are pointing inside that blend. I mean, people don't understand how complex a cigar blend, like making an actual recipe is. It's not making a cake and like it doesn't matter if the eggs go in before the oil and everything about making a cigar blend is crucial, right? So that's why I don't even like blend information because what does that mean? You're not even if I was a blender, that doesn't even tell a blender what that cigar is going to taste like. So I really think that information is terrible. It should just go away. It's never going to happen, but it should. And what it should at least do, if you're watching this and you're hearing me say this, don't read it. Don't give a fuck about it. Smoke the cigar, or if you want, more importantly, and you said this, how is the cigar described from a taste standpoint? Now, these motherfuckers lie about this too, okay? But let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they're actually going to try to describe to you what it tastes like. So when I do that, I tell you what the cigar tastes like to me from retroing it and how and the spice level. Like I've kind of created my own way of trying to describe to you what this cigar tastes like. Now I can't promise you're going to taste it all. In fact, you're not. You're going to get some of it. Maybe you get most of it. Maybe you get none of it. But I'm trying to tell you what I'm tasting and what Matt is tasting.
Because palates are all subjective.
They are subjective. However, there are certain flavors that are you can't dispute these certain flavors in a cigar, right? But when guys get into this really kind of, when you hear somebody start, getting into these really elaborate things, be careful. Those guys are usually just trying to bullshit you and sell you something by piquing the interest in your brain. Like, well, wow, I've never really tasted over-ripened dark cherry from Italy. Like, I don't know what that is, but I'm kind of curious, or whatever these fucking guys come up with. So for me, I try to put tasting notes that most people can identify. And part of the reason palates are subjective and different is, and this is taught to me by blenders, and obviously have incredible palates, all of us have had different experiences in our life with food and smell and drink, and we all have tasted different things. Now, if you have a very basic experience with food and drink and smell in life, you're not gonna pull some really interesting flavor notes because your brain is tasting it, but it doesn't know what it is, so it can't tell you, hey man, that's anise seed or something, or that's caraway or something. Like, if you don't, somebody who like eats a lot of weird ethnic foods and you're not somebody who's a foodie person, or you haven't been around the world and smelled different smells, you're not going to know that, like, hey man, this is blacktop. I'm smelling freshly laid blacktop. I'm getting that on my face. Like, I know that because I've been around blacktop. So for me, I know what blacktop smells like, and I can imagine kind of what it tastes like. If you haven't been around parking lots being put down, then you're not going to know what that smells like.
Of course, yeah.
So, that's why palates are subjective, and some people have better receptors than others. But I will tell you the biggest reason, if somebody's watching this and they're like, bro, I can't get anything that these people talk about, the reason is there's a couple things. You've probably scorched your palate because you smoke cigars too fast, too hot, and you burn your taste buds.
Yeah.
And or you're smoking super spicy. I always blame poor AJ. AJ will probably kill me one day when I get to his house. But if you're somebody who's smoking just really strong AJ Fernandez, blow your face off retrohale, I'm here to tell you that if you retrohale that and hotbox those cigars, on a daily basis, you're not going to taste, sunflower seeds in this cigar. Okay, but it's there. I promise you, it's there.
Yeah.
So it's partly people ruin their taste receptors. And I always pick on people. I say they lick the bottom of their shoe, they lick the cat's litter box, they lick the tailpipe on their truck. Like, brush your tongue, smoke slower, retrohale. Don't smoke super spicy stuff all the time if you want to taste shit. Okay. And that just comes down to people. No one educates people on how to preserve your palate. Like, I've smoked 7 cigars already today. So my palate's not phenomenal, but I know I eat chocolate. I have a coffee. I drink water. This cigar, I'm tasting probably 90% of it. Okay. And it's good enough that I could still tell you what this thing tastes like. But I also know from experience how to handle that many cigars in a given day. Most people that smoke that many cigars don't. They burn their fucking face off, and then they do it again tomorrow, the next day. You have to reset your palate. You have to take time off. I don't smoke on the weekends. I smoke Monday through Friday. It's my job. And then on the weekends, I purposely won't have cigars because I have to let my palate readjust, and I have to let my sinuses and my tongue kind of recover from all this abuse. So anyway, that's a lot of information, but I beat this on my lives as often as I can.
Yeah, I love the fact that you're, relaying this information. So, it's, we're the casual guys. You do it for a living, so you're meant to, handle 7, 8 cigars in a day.
Yeah, and I mean anybody can do it. You know,
Yeah.
you just have to learn to do it the right way.
Yeah.
And for me, the biggest thing that most people do wrong is they smoke too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always use the analogy of sex. All right. Look, I've had every type of sex imaginable, and even fast, hard, vicious sex. You're just so fucking turned on, and you just bend this girl over and you pound it out doggy style. It's phenomenal, but it might last, 2 minutes, and it was the best 2 minutes you've ever had, and you explode. Fantastic, but it doesn't compare to an incredible night with foreplay and amazing sex for hours and hours and hours. Okay, cigars should be enjoyed like amazing sex with a woman or a man if you're into that. I don't have any experience with that, thank God. But that's how cigars are. They should be consumed in a slow, enjoyable, like you're having a Michelin star dinner. This is, drinking the best fucking booze you got. You're not pounding shots, right? It's like guys that drink bourbon and you give them some really nice bourbon and they shoot it. You're like, oh, that's not the point, but whatever. It's don't be a fucking Neanderthal for a few minutes and enjoy the cigar. And a Toro should take you an hour and 15 at the least to an hour and 45 minutes. If you're smoking the fucking cigar this size in a half an hour, you are doing it wrong. You have to slow down. You should take an hour and a half or so, smoke a cigar like this, and try not to relight it 15,000 times. I have to relight it because I'm talking like a lunatic. But, the idea is when you're smoking a cigar, it's relaxed, slow, and enjoyable. It's not bent over the couch fucking as hard as possible. I mean, you could do that, but, you're not going to have too many partners after a while.
So on that note, Al, what you got?
Well, we're about the same age, and apparently we have the same humor. So that was one of the things that really really brought me and fascinated me about these cigars. Just scrolling through the website, I noticed one on there. You did a collab with Lure.
Yes.
With Lou. Can you kind of tell us about that one?
Yeah. So Lou's a great dude. I love Lou. He's actually a good customer of mine. He buys street meat. He loves street meat.
I see Lou all the time on here.
And man, I love him for that. He doesn't have to do that. It doesn't, dictate whether I buy his cigars or not. I mean, he does it because he loves cigars and he wants to support me the same way I support him. And look, that's super fucking nice. He's not the only brand owner that buys cigars for me. There are brand owners that buy cigars for me, not their own, clearly. They buy their competitors, and I'll never say who they are, but there's a lot of friends of mine that are like, hey, bro, send me this, and this, and, whatever. I want to try it. I said, no problem. So with Lou, when I found Lure Cigars and I saw his, there's a lot of new brands out there, in the boutique world. And I said, wow, this is really cool. I'm not a fisherman, right? Like my father was a fisherman. I always hated fishing as a kid because it was so fucking boring. And I know there's a lot of, and Matt who works for me, I mean, he loves fishing, and they're like, all these guys get jerked off. Like, I got to fish. Like, and I'm like, okay, I'm glad that gets you off. It does nothing for me. But anyway, I love the concept of Lou's brand because it's super unique. From a marketing standpoint, I think it's really cool. And I think it's also really cool that brand kind of relates to his father who passed away, who seemed like probably a great person. Obviously, Lou thinks the world of him. And so that's really that kind of, I liked it from like the history and story behind the brand. I thought that was fabulous because it's authentic. It's who Lou is, and it's great. Again, it's not just a gold crown on a band, like everybody else. I want to be a king or something stupid. Like he's doing something that's unique to himself and his life and his family. So I love it. And of course, there's a lot of people who do smoke cigars while they fish. So I think that's a smart move. And then and I love his cigars. His core line are all really, really good. The only thing I'll complain about that I complain about with all my brand owners is like, make your cigars cheaper, bro. But just busting balls. But so we did Largemouth Louis with Lou. It was an exclusive. It was a Gordo, and great cigar, great price. Like I was like, all right, Lou, if he wants to do an exclusive, and I'm sure we'll do more. I have another one I want to do with Lou called the Trouser Trout. So we got to do that, Lou.
let's get it done.
Most
yeah, so
definitely.
like, I love collaborating with brands. Before I started making my own cigars, and my own brands, I collaborated with most of my boutique brands that I carry and all my friends that own these brands. So I did collaborations even with Caldwell, with Lost and Found in the early days. Obviously, Matt Booth, we did several collaborations at a smaller scale, and we're going to do more. And and many other people. Darren from Principal Cigars, another friend of mine. We had several collabs. Judgy Bobby, another friend of mine that we've done collabs, and Stefan from Lampert Cigars. All these guys. But I like collaborating with brands that I love and love the owners, because it's kind of a way for me to do something special. Anytime I do a collaboration project, it's kind of cool, because it's like, it's me kind of as a retailer saying, look, guys, I love this brand owner that I'm going to collaborate with them, and I love this brand. And then it also works the other way, where it's like, hey, man, this brand owner is my friend. We're doing a collaboration project. So it's kind of like a signal to my customers, like, hey, man, he's one of us. Like, he's cool. All right.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time, like, from a retail perspective, like, I don't do business with people that I don't like, that aren't good people. There's some brands, people are like, hey, man, why don't you sell this XYZ brand? It fits totally in your thing. And I'm like, well, if I don't sell it, there's a reason why. And I'm here to tell you, it's probably because the owner is a fucking asshole or a piece of shit. There are some. There's not a lot, thank God. But the industry does have some real fucking assholes in it. And I won't sell their product. I won't promote their product. That's I prefer to push a brand that, obviously, the cigar is I love the cigar. I love the value that it presents to my customers, but I also love the brand owner as a friend and as a human being. So it makes it easy for me to sell a person's brand when they're a great person, and again, that's kind of another way of like me kind of giving my kind of blessing for whatever that is. Who gives a shit? But it is what it is. It's kind of like, hey, man, if I carry this brand, it's not just a great cigar, it's a great person behind the brand. And I think that matters. I really do.
Yeah.
Oh,
matters to me.
For sure. Yeah. Well,
But yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
oh, I'm just real big on showing the cigar itself respect.
Yeah.
It should take you a certain amount of time, instead of just, like you said, banging through it like a madman.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I can appreciate that for sure.
And look, you're not doing yourself any favors. Like, I mean, for me, what I like, because as a consumer, right? Because I have a beautiful brick and mortar store. I took over this whole building, a few years ago, and when I decided to get out of my construction business, and so I got a beautiful little shop upstairs. It's great. And what we do as consumers, is like we'll think, okay, we're buying, as a consumer, I'm buying this cigar, and I like to look at it as, you're not buying this cigar. What you're buying is the experience that this cigar is going to give you when you give it the respect and you give it the time and you enjoy it the way it was designed to be enjoyed. You're not buying this physical thing. You're buying what this physical thing gives you, right?
Of course.
And I think that is lost a lot on consumers, because we're so used to just like buying shit, like, I'm buying the Sharpie, it's cigars, you're by design, are meant to be enjoyed, and the experience you get from it. Now, I realize, and thank God for a lot of people that collect cigars. Now, that's where it gets a little gray area, because, a lot of people buy cigars because they want to collect them. They want a collection. And I understand, how much fun it is to collect things. But I always tell my customers and friends that collect cigars, hey, man, cool. If you want to collect cigars, that's great. But please smoke some of those cigars and give them the love and the attention. Like, just don't collect stuff, just for collecting sake. I mean, a lot of people do it. You have those Tatawahe Monsters. I have the whole collection of Tatawahe Monsters, sealed box from the originals all the way up to, the current day.
Wow.
And finally, I was like, I had it in the cigar humidor in the shop, just as kind of a display, because people would come in and be like, wow, you got every single one. That's so fucking cool. I've never seen, a Jason in real life, or a Frank, or, the original Frank. Holy shit, you got Boris, whatever. So it was cool. I bought it from another retailer that was kind of selling off his collection and closed his store. And I wanted it because I like Tatawahe, the brand, and I have a lot of customers that love the brand and support it. So for me, it was something that I wanted to have and I sold it all. I sold it all off in bricks this year, before 2024, towards the end of the year, because I was just like, you know what, man, there's like $15,000 worth of cigars sitting up there, money that, like, I've owned it, I've collected it, I looked at it, I handled it all, I took pictures of it, I love it, it's great, but I'm not a collector of cigars. So I was like, I'm going to let these go and let other people buy these. They might need this one or that one, or they always wanted this one. And I was like, I would rather they find a home in somebody's collection that, they get so excited every time they see it. Like, it lost excitement for me after a couple of years. And I was like, you know what? This is a waste of money for the shop. And my job as the shop owner is like, I'm going to take that money and reinvest it in the shop into other cigars that we sell. My job as a retailer is not to collect cigars. My job is to sell cigars to you guys at the end of the day. So that's not a good way to spend the company's money. So I decided to let that go. I had my time with it, and it's really cool. But I'm not a collector of many things, so I prefer collect something, enjoy it, accomplish your collection, accomplish your goals, and then send it to the next person. So
Al, you got anything else?
No, man, I'm just sitting here taking it all in. That's a lot of information, a lot of great information. And again, thank you so much for carving out a little time to
happy.
spend with us and enlighten us.
Yeah, Hunter, I want to say thank you. I didn't want to take up too much of your time. I love talkers. So the Sun King, I'm telling you, I cannot freaking wait for that thing to come out. It's going to be absolutely fantastic.
It's going to be Wednesday or Thursday. You'll be able to buy it. So get ready.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
So
and it's delicious.
So thank you for coming on with us. Thank you for carving out a little of your time. We wanted to get you on early. I know, you said you're more of an earlier guy, so we made sure to get you on a little earlier,
Thank you.
so you can enjoy the rest of your night. But thank you so much for taking the time out of your day just to kind of, inform not only us, but your fans as well, because we're gonna direct them right to you. I know I watch all your lives, so I know you'll see me probably buying a bunch of those cigars this week when when they become available.
Thank you, man.
So
man, and let me say this, before I run, is like, when I started this thing, I've always been really kind of connected to my customers and my friends and people that love cigars as much as I do, and my DMs are always available, man. DM me, Sir Louis Cigars Hunter. I also run the Sir Louis _com page. So sometimes people think that's Matt. I run those two pages. And if anybody ever watching this has a question about a cigar or opinion about something, look, man, my DM is always open to you guys. I'll give you my honest fucking opinion. I'll give you whatever answer I can give you on it. And I'm here for you guys to enjoy cigars more and be more interested in it as a hobby. And I'm happy to share all my information that I've learned, and for me, that helps all of us enjoy this hobby more. So I'm always available, man. Always.
Yeah, and I can attest to that, because I talk to Hunter. I ask him so many stupid questions, and he always answers me back, which is amazing. So once again, thank you so much, guys, and thank you for tuning into the Lounge Life, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.